Okay. So Jim Frere, Rich Stein, Mark Jackson, Eric and Catherine. Not Catherine Chandler. Liz Golden and Dana Laird are here. And that's a simultaneous roll call to order. And who read the minutes? Rich
I
did.
move we accept the minutes.
Okay,
Second.
I found a few misspellings and misattributes. I'm not sure about the spelling of Drew's last name.
Ravis.
Okay, so that was misspelled. On June 21st, page 3, it says that I collaborated with Drew for 10 years, but I think we mean Diane.
That was me. That was
Okay.
me.
You collaborated with him. Okay.
Yes.
So I see where we get mixed up a lot. So that should say,
Yeah, because we look so much alike.
yes, that should say Eric Chandler and not Dana Laird. A small typo with Ms. Gilgore. One thing was a report. Cemeteries, Ms. Wilson Grant reported a vent was fixed. I don't know what that means.
Fence, perhaps. Fence was fixed.
That's it, fence. So vent is fence. Okay. And old business, Ms. Laird is now a he, but I should probably stick with she. So that's all I found. So I guess we can accept the minutes as amended.
We have to vote.
What? Oh, vote. Yeah. Okay. I'll vote for then amended minutes.
I have to abstain. I wasn't at
Okay.
Yeah.
So Mark, did you vote? I didn't see. Okay. So Liz Golden is abstaining. Everyone else is accepting that. Do we have anyone for public participation today?
Looks like one person's logged on from the public. So if you would like to make a public comment on tonight's meeting, please use the raise your hand feature and we'll bring you over to speak. Seeing no hands.
Okay. Reports from boards. Diane.
Good evening, everyone. It's been a busy June, and we are looking forward to this Friday for a concert with Perry and Friends at Mill Hill. It's a free concert, and this is in the garden. So we have this every year, so we're all looking forward to it, and it's free. So I hope to see some of you there. On Friday, starts at 6:30, and it will be a lot cooler on Friday because apparently the heat's going to break by tomorrow. So we are definitely looking forward to relaxing, bringing lawn chairs, and just kind of hang out. It's always a great time, and everybody definitely enjoys it. So what happened in this past month, we had Connecticut Open House Day at the museum. It's always great to welcome new people who I always wanted to come here and I haven't. And so we had quite a few visitors on the 14th. Norfolk Historical Society also participated in the Juneteenth on the green this year. There was a great turnout. We got very lucky in Norwalk that it didn't rain too much. It was in between the raindrops, but it turned out to be a great evening and great to collaborate with the community. And then this past Saturday, we had the Scouts and Soldiers. This is when we were just talking about Drew. He was our Algonquian living historian. He put on a great presentation, and we did it out in the backyard in Mill Hill, and everybody really enjoyed that. So after Friday, we're going to actually do our Independence Day celebration. July is coming up, just around the corner. Next Friday will be July 4th, and we are doing the celebration and bell ringing. So we'll be opening the doors at 10:30 a.m., starting the program at 11, and we'll have our town clerk, Rick McQuaid, will be reading the Declaration of Independence, selected sections, not all of it. And I expect the mayor, Bob Duff, and any other officials who will be making remarks. And then we'll be ringing the townhouse bell 13 times to symbolize the original 13 colonies. And then we actually have a soloist who will be singing the national anthem, and we're quite excited. So it's going to be someone who's a rising, is entering college. He's going to the Boston Conservatory. So he's quite talented. So we're looking forward to that. And on the 20th, we are going to have Carolyn Ivanoff, and she will be doing a presentation. We fought at Gettysburg. So that will be on Sunday, July 20th at 2 o'clock. So we'll be seeing more information. And then the summer beer tasting and barbecue will be on Thursday, July 31st at 6 o'clock. So we're quite busy this summer. So we may have one event in August, but I think we're going to just kind of take some time and prepare for the fall. So we're going to have another concert in September, and then we're preparing the schedule for the fall and early winter. So that is my report. One more thing, and I'm also working on the America 250. So I'm getting a lot of requests to do collaborations and partnerships. So it is starting to gather steam. So people are beginning to realize it's really going to be happening. So schedules are being put together. So we'll be hearing more.
Great.
Any questions?
Diane, I have a question. With the concert on Friday night, it looks like now you have to reserve a spot. Is that true, or can you just go?
We're just trying to get a feel for how many
count?
people. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So yeah, because we provide some snacks and other things at the time. So it's just to get a feel. You
Okay.
show up.
I'll be there.
Okay.
They're wonderful concerts. And I've told lots of people, so.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to it. I said, and it's going to be cool on Friday
Exactly.
night too.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so next up is Susan from LLMNOB. Sorry.
Now reopened. So thank you so much to all of you for helping in this grand reopening, which has been extremely busy. We had a collaboration with Silvermine, an exhibit that opened at the reception. We had over 100 people attending, and the exhibition is being very well received. We also participated with mini tours at the Art in the Park Festival. We actually had 200 visitors inside the mansion to see the mansion during this festival that was run by Sue Gordon Brown. We are extremely busy with tours and group tours and basically reorganizing the mansion now that it's reopened. And we're looking at September because we're going to have a major exhibition opening, Bulls of Wall Street, which will have rare artifacts from the New York Stock Exchange and objects never before seen from private collections here in Connecticut. That will be curated by Stacy Danielson. And basically, we were able to raise over $70,000 for this exhibition. We are also looking at a very busy September with the Old Fashioned Flea Market, a book signing with Robert Dillenschneider, who is a PR guru who wrote a book called Characters, Life's Lessons in Courage, Integrity, and Leadership. We have a talk by Sherry Kaplan, also in September, on finance. And last year I had spoken to Eric Chandler about giving a talk at the mansion, since he's an expert on that part of history that will relate to America 250. And Kathy wanted to have who's our chair of the committee, wanted to have a meeting with him, which took place just a couple of days ago. And I heard that there's some very exciting, there's a very exciting lecture and program that will be unfolding next year. I'm also working now on an exhibition with the Connecticut chair of the Irish American Commission on that she has a collection. She's in charge of the collection of Irish American famine, and the servants' quarters at the mansion is dedicated pretty much to Irish Americans, who were the majority of those working for the Lockwoods and the Matthews during the time in which the mansion was in the 19th and early 20th century. And that's what we're working on. We're very busy. We'd love to see you all if you haven't had a chance. And thank you for all your support. Any questions?
Sounds terrific.
Thank you.
Patsy, anything?
Sure. There's always something, right? Obviously, going around what Susie said, it was quite a chore to physically move back into the building, to get the systems started up and running, to get the employees back in the building, with some new employees that we'd hired that had never been working in the building. It's been an amazing operation, all of the team working together. They're obviously, when you're going from no heat and no electricity on 4 floors to a whole new system, it's a major undertaking. And there are little quirks that we're working on, and hopefully we'll get them all settled out as we're trying to close out the project. The project, we're working on the punch list right now on the project and trying to close out the trades to get them give all of their last minute potential charges, and working with the state to close out the state grant and also obviously the city grant. The state of Connecticut doesn't oversee grant closures during June, July, and early August, because they're working on their own budget. So this process probably won't be completed until August or September. And it's a major undertaking. It's very detailed and very specific. So that's pretty much where we are. If you haven't, as Susie said, been to the building, it does look and feel different. Even though most of the money was spent on mechanical things that you can't see, we have been working closely with the city's departments for maintenance, because it's probably now the most sophisticated mechanical building owned by the city of Norwalk. We're all very focused on how to take care of it and to make it as efficient and welcoming and productive as it possibly can be for to complete our mission, which is to, educate and to introduce people to the importance of our history and our cultures. So that's where we are. It's been a long haul, and we're taking a little breath, but we still have work to do to close out the whole project. I don't know if anybody has any questions or.
Is there any idea when you're going to be all finished?
We'll never be all finished with the mansion. It's just like owning your own
Or
home.
this round, maybe?
Yeah, this one, that's what I was just trying to say. The state is basically shut down for that process for the next couple of months. The state did send out an architect to do their final inspection on the project, and I spent a couple of hours with her in early June, walking through the whole project, explaining it to her and showing the actual mechanical systems and locations. And she was very impressed and said that she would be writing a very positive report. So that's huge. This is an unannounced process that the state does for the closeout of a project of this size. They send somebody unannounced to do an inspection. Luckily, I happened to be there. I was leaving so-called on my vacation the next day, so it was very fortuitous that I was there and able to walk her through. So there are some growing pains which are expected, and we're all working very diligently to get through everything as best we can. Pretty exciting, though. It's as the city now absorbs this opportunity, which is what I view it as an opportunity really to reinvent what the mansion can do for not just economic development, but for culture and education in the months and years ahead. So it's a very exciting and challenging time for us at the mansion and for the city. So everybody's welcome, and any help anybody wants to give us, we love help. We need more volunteers to do docent projects. I'm sure Susie will chime in on that because the tours are run by volunteer docents, and with now being open 12 months a year, we need more hands on deck, basically.
More docents. We had
More
to turn
docents.
away visitors. That's how
Yeah.
many we get.
Yeah. So come see us if you haven't been. I know quite a few were at the opening, and we appreciate that, and hope you got a good tour of some of the aspects that we've now have at the mansion. And one of the more important things that hasn't gotten a lot of attention is actually the archive physical setup. Through the last 10 years, Susie and I have worked on moving the mansion forward in order to qualify for federal grants, if we ever see anything like that again in the future. But in order to do that, to get accreditation and to get grants for archival help, curatorial, we had to get to a certain physical level within the building and equipment, and that was a huge part of this project that we have completed physically, and now we're moving back in and setting it up so that people can really use the materials that we have on the history, not just of Norwalk and the families, but of the culture at the time. So we're excited about that. And that's going to take us a couple of years to physically move back into it and arrange it so people can get to use it. And hopefully we can move forward with trying to get a grant for a curator.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it for boards. Next is reports. Buildings, do we have a report?
I've got lots of stuff on buildings,
Great.
so I'll try to get through it quickly. So in the Historical Commission's expense budget this year, we had, as you may or may not know, the fiscal year end for the city is basically this Friday, and whatever money we don't spend in the expense budget goes away and gets charged to next year's expense budget. So we had $10,000 left in buildings, and in working with the mansion, the third and fourth floor servant stair hall was in really bad shape, the plaster walls and paint. And so I quickly got 3 bids to fix that, repair it, and repaint. And I got the purchase order issued on Monday, and the painters started this morning, and they're going to finish on Friday. We're also squeezing in doing some plaster repair and some painting in the weird little triangle-shaped coat room, which is the room that you pass by when you're going into the billiards room to get wine and stuff at the mansion's great events. And we're going to make that look better. So I'm excited to get that done and spend that money. I have started working on quotes to get the painting and repair of the big front porch veranda done. And I hope to get something put together on that by the next meeting. I am working with facilities. We have to replace the roof on the Gate Lodge. I was holding off on that to try to get the National Register update finished and try to get a matching grant from the state to put the slate roof back on for $100,000. But the roof is failing. The state is dragging their feet on the National Register update. So we're just going to have to go back with a new asphalt shingle roof. Facilities is getting quotes. The first quote I saw, I'm actually really pleased because it's not a ton of money in the scheme of things, so that I don't feel really bad about spending it, but the roof is leaking and we put it off for a long time. So that's going to have to go ahead. And we have the money for it in the budget, capital budget. I've also been working for a couple of years. I'm finalizing, hopefully you can see this. One of the things we identified in the master plan that we did in 2014 for Mill Hill, that we've been slowly building out, was to replace the little well house, we call it. That's the little outhouse looking building as you go into the back office of the townhouse. And that building looks like it might be historic, but it isn't. I have researched it and confirmed that it was actually built in the 70s, and it covers a utility pit. We needed more storage space, particularly mainly because it's just getting too hard for many of us to carry the tables and chairs up and down into the cellar, especially without hitting our heads. So I have found a nice looking shed, and I've got 3 quotes on it. It's going to look like this, if you can see this, which I think is perfect. It'll be painted the same color as the schoolhouse. The only difference between the photo and what we're going to get is a wood shingle roof, so that it matches all the buildings at Mill Hill have wood shingle roofs. So we're going to have a wood shingle roof built, and it's the quotes are coming in a very reasonable cost for that as well, and we have budget for that. So I'm hoping to finally move that ahead after working on it for 2 years. Also started working with facilities management. We put in video security systems at both the museum and Mill Hill around 2014, 2015. Both these systems have failed. They aren't supported anymore. Unfortunately, we probably have to do all new wiring, which is not such a problem at Mill Hill, but it's much harder in the museum building. But for security purposes, it's something we need to have, and especially with the amount of school kids and things we have through the site, I think it's good. The new systems record to like 500 hours to the cloud, and you can access it if there's any problem coming up. You can also access even our old systems. We could access the cameras on our apps on our phone and see what was happening as anything comes up. So we're going to try to get those replaced this year, and that's also in the budget. I think that's all I have on buildings at the moment. Any questions?
David, on the
Yeah.
on the slate roof, you know,
Yeah.
you said the state was dragging its heels on that. Did they give a reason why they were just going so slow, or is it just?
Well, it's tied. It's not on the slate roof. It's tied to the National Register nomination. So,
Okay.
4 years ago, we got a grant from the state to update the mansion's National Register nomination was done in the 1970s. It was actually one of the first nominations done after they created the National Register system. And some of it was inaccurate about the history of the mansion, and it didn't include the outbuildings. So none of the historic outbuildings are protected. The purpose of this update is to get the outbuildings on the National Register, as well as correct the accuracy of the nomination about the history of the mansion. And we've done all the work. The state is just underwhelmed. The person who manages the National Register is notoriously slow. And it's very frustrating because literally we're year 4. The problem is to get matching grant money from the state for a building, it has to be on either the state or the National Register. Well, the mansion is, but the Gate Lodge isn't. And I was hoping to get this done so that we could replace the roof and put the historically correct roof back on, but it's just taking too long. The roof is leaking. But the roof is going to be under $15,000, and yes, that's a lot of money. But if we're able to get a grant in like 10 years to fund the slate, I'm not going to feel bad about spending 10 grand on a new roof and keeping it from leaking. So it's not the end of the world, but it's just frustrating.
Is there anything that we can do as a body collectively to try to push that in any way, shape, or form?
No, it's an ongoing problem. I don't know how to fix it. I've talked to the Preservation Trust about it for Connecticut, and most people are pretty frustrated with the process. I may have another conversation with Bob Duff about it.
Right.
So we'll
keep us posted.
The state their funding is getting hit, obviously, too. I'm not even sure that SHPO, the State Historic Preservation Office, is going to that's funded by federal dollars, and I think that's probably all going to go away, even though they're legally required to, but that doesn't seem to matter. So we'll see what happens next year. But it's a good question.
Yeah, we're not the top of the list, but other places, we were discussing at a conference last week that places like Arizona are going to be axed first.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure where we are on the list, but then again, upstate is rather slow with getting any work done. I think we had Bob Duff step in for something and we're waiting. So it took 5, 6, 7 years for something.
Well, they took it. Yeah, it was I think it was the Oysterman's Row.
Something like that, yeah.
Register. It took us 7 years to get Lexington Avenue listed. And unfortunately, we actually lost a building. The developer got tired of waiting for tax credits and he tore buildings. This has been a problem for a number of years now.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh.
So I have a question, David.
Sure.
Now that Alan, when you talk about facilities management, are you talking about Alan Lowe?
Yeah, and we mainly work with Neil Rennie from Guardian on all these things.
Yeah. So how is that going to work now? Because they were never responsible for as much maintenance as they are now. So when we talked about painting and patching some things up, that should come out of his budget, should it not?
Well, no, we share the budget with them, with facilities. So the Historical Commission controls its budget, but facilities has access to it. So when they do the roof project, that'll go to one of our capital budget lines.
So that's the other thing, is that I've never seen the budget, and could we get copies of it? Now, obviously, the budget the year is over tomorrow or the end of the week, and there is a new budget that was approved.
Yep.
Well, tentatively anyway, and I don't know whether everybody on the commission has seen it, and they should see it really. I mean, I've seen it in the budget books, but we don't seem to talk about that at all during the year. And I would think that when don't we have any responsibility to even if it's in the budget, we've got to approve the authorization, or we have to authorize the actual spending, and then that should go to the council, I think, if it's over $10,000.
Yeah, so in the past, because we were doing so much work, and it's fine to change it. I'm just telling you what happened. I was managing the budget and the projects, and the commission authorized me to basically make decisions on projects that were under $10,000.
Right.
And just get them done, as long as we complied with purchasing processes, of course. Anything above that came to the commission for a vote. But I think with the council, I think it has to be over 20,000.
It's 25,000, yeah. So what happens, though, that is purchasing, Sharon Connors puts together a report every quarter, I think it is now, of everything that's under 25,000, and that goes to the finance committee, and then the finance committee sends it on or tells the council what they've spent.
Mm-hmm.
And my question would be, shouldn't this commission also be taking a look at that? We should be sending it to, well, I guess, we ought to verify what Sharon Connor says or gives to the finance committee. I see it going through the finance committee, but I have no idea whether it's, what it is.
I will send a copy of both the expense and the capital budget to the commission members in the next week.
Oh, okay, that'd be helpful. I think we should just take a look at that periodically. Somebody's going to ask us one day a question about it. Was like, well, where's David Westmoreland? I don't know.
Who's this random guy spending money?
He took over. Let's say I know he's in his car on the way to Texas or something.
It's not a sustainable process, and I clearly recognize that. So, but yeah, I'm happy to do that. I do get budget updates, which I can also start sending out to Maritza Alvarado, the administrator in economic and community development. She is the person I work through for purchase orders, and she updates our spreadsheet with the budgets and where we are, and I track it pretty closely.
I'm just trying to, I know your days are pretty empty, so I just see if we can fill them up a little bit.
And I'm happy for more people to get involved, and maybe somebody else to do it. So yeah, anyway, that's it on buildings.
Okay. Cemeteries, I haven't noticed anything. Anyone else?
I have two things, minor things. The Tree Alliance replaced the 6 dead trees that they planted in the fall right before the drought started. So they put 6 new ones in, replacing them because they had a poetry walk or something, and they were embarrassed they had dead trees. And I said, it's really better to plant in the fall. But anyway, they swore they would water them. And I said, well, as long as you replace them again, if they die over the summer, I don't care.
This is the Tree Alliance?
The Tree Alliance. So it doesn't cost the city anything. It's free for us. So I'm working with them to get as many trees as we can.
I guess they need to put those little skirts on them, right?
The gators. Yeah, but they have, there's 2 big rain barrels out there, and they say they're watering them, and I'm like, good luck with that, because I'm not doing that. But
is that at Mill Hill or where?
That's at Pine Island.
Pine Island. Okay, yeah, I did notice some trees in trouble.
Yeah, but they look good. They're really nice trees. I just hope
red buds and stuff.
And I'm still working with the Eagle Scout project for Pine Island to do tombstone straightening and cleaning. That looks like it's going to be in the fall instead of August, like we were thinking.
Yeah,
that's moving up a bit, but that'll happen this year. Yeah, that's it on cemeteries.
And financials, it looks like maybe you've sort of double covered that, but
I just have one more thing on that.
Okay.
The good
Yep.
news is that Patsy was talking about grants. We have a grant from 2017 that Bob got us from OPM, $725,000 for Mill Hill that we used to pay for the all the new ADA work around the barn and the jail and the new path up the hill, which took us 7 years to get done. And I've been working for the last 3 months with the city grants coordinator, and we finally got deep. They were administrating the grant. We finally got everything they wanted, including a new little sign giving them credit for the grant I had to put on the barn. But they now have everything to close that grant out and reimburse the city $725,000. So I was happy to finish that on Monday.
Comes at the right time.
Yeah, because we need the money. Anyway, yeah, that's it.
We have all the railings on the path to the jail, or I can't remember.
We have all the railings that I'm planning to do.
Okay.
We can discuss doing more.
That's
I'm not that excited about it.
yeah.
So
What's next? I think old business is next. Any old business?
I think we have on the agenda the update for the demolition delay ordinance.
Okay. So I missed looking at that current agenda.
So I can talk to some of that.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So earlier this past month, we met with some of the folks at the city level, and basically the original ordinance that had been drafted, the city wasn't particularly tied to. So I took the responsibility to start drafting up new language of a new ordinance and socialize that a little bit with Jim and with Eric. And what I want to do, I want to take some of that initial feedback, implement it, and then I'm going to share that with the rest of the commission. So I want to get everyone's feedback on that. And then we can put all those edits together, come up with a clean draft. And then what I also intend to have by the next meeting is a full listing of all the grants that are available. Because part of what the new ordinance would basically call for is when there is an opposition letter filed on a demolition, that would potentially trigger a review by an independent third-party consultant that we would go out and through an RFP and procure. And this lays out that whole system for that. There are grants that are available for these types of work. I had a conversation with a former colleague based out of New York. He's the former executive director of the Historic Districts Commission, who's got contacts in Connecticut, people who could be consultants. He's got people at the state level at SHPO who can provide some resources. So I'm waiting on an update on that. But I in the coming days, I'll be sharing with the commissioners here a clean draft of a new ordinance. And I think, it gives us a little bit more teeth, gives us a little bit more of a sort of streamlined process, a more defined process for how we go about the demolition delay. And I think it sort of helps professionalize one aspect of the commission, which is what I think we've been looking for. So stay tuned on that, and looking forward to getting everyone's feedback.
Great.
Rich, you did a wonderful job expanding that ordinance. I was very, very impressed. The only note I had for you was that I had seen in an earlier markup where we had added a notice by publication that did not show up.
Yes, that's my mistake. That's being put back in. Promise you that.
Okay.
That's a very critical component. Yeah, I'd just like to say that Rick, you did an incredible job on this, and so I have gone through, in spite of the fact that I've been kind of tardy in getting my comments back to you, but I did go through the old one and the new one, and I think although it looks like it's a lot more to it, I think the introduction that you have is great. It's a lot. I think it's pretty meaningful. I think maybe the next time we go through it, and if we get some more input into it, let everybody on the commission, please get, and I'm the first one who's tardy, but please get this to Rich and tell him give him some of your views. The next iteration, I think, we could probably I'll take it over to Lisa. We can have a meeting with Lisa Shanahan and have her take a look at it, since she's the chair of the ordinance committee, and just to have her briefly take a look at it and say, okay, I think you need more work here, you need a little color over here, whatever it is.
Right.
So I think it's a real step in the right direction.
Great. And one interesting note from my contact at the Historic District Council in New York, his guess for potential procurement, you could look at 20 hours, and per project, around that $2,500 range. And given just how many of these would potentially come across our radar over the course of a year, coupled with some grant funding and with some of the other opportunities for funding that might be available, this could be a doable effort for sure.
I think that, yeah, you're right. And I think that some of that expense should be part of a fee structure. I know
Yes.
you did mention some of that in there, but I think
Yes.
definitely, if somebody really wants to tear down something, and basically it's you proved to us that it has no historical background, but we're going to have to pay for it, or you're going to have to pay for it.
Has some skin in the game, basically, but
Exactly.
it would be 5% of the cost of the total research that somebody would do. So it would equate to the size of a fee, but it would show that the applicant is serious about moving forward with this process.
Yeah. I think it's really great. Why don't you get back to us, and then we'll see if we can get a date. I'm not going to be traveling too much in the next 2 weeks.
Okay. I will be traveling for most of the second half of July. So, I'll try to make myself as available as I can.
Okay.
But I want to get this out to the rest of the group here in the next couple of days, so that everyone can have some time to think about it and chew on it and get some feedback in.
Okay, great.
One thing I was noticing that is not dealt with on the demolition delay is if we could get reports from building about renovations, because there's a home on Witch Lane that's being renovated, and the first thing they did was suck out the 1890 portion of the home. So those sort of renovations, and of course Willow Street, which was supposed to be a renovation, somehow we need to keep an eye on those as well, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that hasn't been covered before, but seems to be an issue coming up.
Which is the one on Witch Street?
Witch Lane at Ledge Road. It was a 1890 house that had been tacked on. So it's just a strange looking house, and it doesn't seem to be very professional how it's been going, but.
Is that the one on the corner?
Corner, yes. So anything 1890, if it says 1890 on the records, it's not. There's nothing 1890 about it now.
Yeah, but that's been renovated 100 times, hasn't it?
Right. Well, yeah, it's been tacked onto, and that's.
Okay, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Willy nilly, I'll say.
Yeah. To say the least.
So I guess that's our old business. Thanks, Rich, for your input.
Thank you.
Do we have any new business?
Yeah.
I think there were two items on the agenda. Budget for
Okay,
Lockwood.
sorry. What was the again, I missed that.
Okay. I think it's budget for Lockwood's Matthews Mansion, and then budget for the Historical Society was the
Okay.
second one.
So those are for the grants, the annual operating grants that the city provides to the mansion and to the Historical Society. The 26-27, is that right? Yeah, 25-26 budget effective July 1 provides for $150,000 for each of the organizations, which helps them pay utilities and keep the buildings open to the public. A total $300,000 was approved in grants line 5620 grants and donations. The mansion had requested that they move the approval up so that they could get the money, because they're obviously, after being closed for a couple of years, 2.5 years, finances are very tight. So they can get the check issued after July 1st, as soon after the July 1st as possible. We could put in for that as soon as the commission approves it. The motion would be to approve the grants to the Lockwood Matthews Mansion and to the Norwalk Historical Society in the amount of $150,000 each from operating account 016-300-5620 grants and donations after July 1st, 2025.
I'll second.
Well, somebody needs to make the motion. I was just offering.
I thought you did.
Yeah.
Motion based on what David
Second.
said.
All in favor? That's unanimous.
Seems that way. So now this has to go to since it's over 25,000, it's going to have to go. Does this go to the finance committee?
I don't think so. In the past, we've just put in requests for it and it gets cut. I don't think, I've never heard of finance committee reviewing it. Maybe they do, and I just don't know.
So, I mean, but how does that? I mean, if I see 150,000 going to Lockwood's Matthews Mansion, but we'd also cut another 150,000 to the historical commission. That
No,
would
to
be
the
used
Historical Society,
for Historical Society. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And that's to operate both the museum and Mill Hill.
Yeah.
And manage the city's museum.
So basically, it's just the grant money. We're approving the release of the grant money to those two entities.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, you're not buying anything.
Still, I don't. Okay. Let's leave it like that. If I find something wrong, or anybody, if I can find anybody in the city that can tell me anything different, we'll leave it the way it is.
Okay. Well, what happens next is that each institution will put in a letter of request that the check be issued and citing this meeting and the approval by the
Right. I guess the difference here is that it's a grant money. It's grant that's been already approved.
Already
Grant that's been approved, and then it's going to be it's just a question of when it goes out.
Right. It's not a bid situation or anything.
It's not an expense.
Yeah.
Or it is an expense, but yeah. Okay. Is there any other money that the Historical Commission has access to?
Any other money?
Yeah. So I mean, what you were talking about with the painting and all that stuff, that maintenance, that's all Matthews Lockwood's maintenance. That's coming out of their
So,
budget.
yeah, we have about so above and beyond. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but as I recall, above and beyond the $300,000 grant, I think in the next year's budget, it seems like we have $79,000 in expenses, which includes typing services, electric, water, other professional services, buildings, pest elimination, other repair and maintenance, painting supplies, plumbing supplies, electrical supplies, and other materials.
But shouldn't facilities management pay for all of that? Or is this an allocation?
Well, so they charge some stuff to our budget, and then they actually it's not clean because when the historical society, when the city outsourced the management of the museum and the museum collection to the historical society, the city and the historical society took over the museum building at City Hall. I told Alan Lowe, I said, look, you're already budgeting, you're already maintaining that building, you're already paying the electric and the water. I don't want to do all that because the idea is to eventually give it all back to you. So they still manage all that. They've taken over the management of Mill Hill, and they're now, and then this next year is we're figuring out what it's going to cost to run the mansion with all these new systems, and then we're going to figure that out together, what that's going to be and who's going to, where the budget's going to go. So.
The theory behind this is to probably get Alan to do a lot more. I mean, there's something in the neighborhood of 20 plus buildings that the city owns, and the question is that who takes care of them. And if we're giving money to the people, giving money to different people to manage those things, why doesn't Alan manage the whole thing if he does the majority of them anyway?
That's what we're trying to move to that.
Yeah.
I think that the commission will always want to have somebody who is working with facilities saying this needs to be done, this needs to be done, blah, 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 blah. Especially on the historic buildings where you're planning restoration projects and things like that. But, it's a little more involved than just running a school building or city hall.
Right.
So.
We're just trying to do is trying to avoid duplication of effort here.
Well, there's no real duplication. I'm just trying to get it to where volunteers aren't doing work that the city should be paying for.
Well, yeah, that too. I mean, it's not duplication. I think that's the wrong word. I think it's just let's do it more efficiently, because if we don't take care of buildings, they're going to fall apart.
Right.
And so then it's going to cost the city a lot more if we have to spend an enormous amount of money, like to put a new roof on or something like that.
Right, which is kind of where we were with all the, 9. The Historical Commission oversees 9 historical buildings, and they were all in really, really bad shape 12 years ago. Because the facilities wouldn't even touch them. So,
because it was too expensive to fix.
No, because it's just more to manage, and they didn't really have enough help with budget, did they? So we've come a long ways.
Yeah.
And it's largely because of your efforts, David. I mean, on both for the Mill Hill and the museum and Lockwood Matthews, you have done yeoman's work and service.
Thank you. And I would add to that Patsy Brescia, and really the commission has been really supportive and involved over the years. Dana has been Miss Cemetery person extraordinaire. So we've all worked together on it. We're getting there. So.
And I think some of the building facilities people, Alan Lowe and his guys, are doing a much better job.
Oh yeah. And they seem to like our stuff. I think it's fun for them. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It just seems like the city government has gotten more interested in the things that we do than past administrations have.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing I remember when I was campaigning 2 years ago, and you can all vote for me again next year if you want, not in November, that's it. But one of the things that I said was that, a lot of people criticize Harry Rilling, but, his magic sauce, if you want to call it that, is, or secret sauce, is that he's been able to hire some very, very good department heads that have done a phenomenal job. And, having worked with some of these guys when I was on the BET, and I used to criticize, I wouldn't criticize them, but I was always asking where they were spending money and really digging in. And now that I'm on the other side of it and working with some of these department heads, I realize that some of these guys and girls are really, really good managers and know what's really going on and are familiar with what's going on in other municipalities as well. So I think it's the city is chugging right along, and we'll see what happens next year or next November.
Yep.
Could come to a screeching halt.
Rich, is there anything else on the agenda that I missed?
No, I think next is Eric's favorite thing to do.
Because how can you miss me if I don't go away? Move to adjourn.
Second.
Third, fourth, fifth,
Oh,
Very productive meeting, I'm
Yeah.
happy to say. Happy July 4th. Hope you come to Mill Hill on the 4th, spend some time. Otherwise, see you next month.
Thank you, everybody.
thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
thank you.
Good
Good
night.
night, everybody.
Good night.